Hi, I'm Stacey Adams, but I guess you already know that. Um, I wanted to do this video. I kind of struggled with the idea of whether or not I was going to make it or not, and I realized that I should. So, um, for starters, I've been sick the past couple of days, so I apologize for any coughing. You guys know I don't edit videos or anything like that, so if I cough, I cough. And I'm just going to try to get through it. So, um, I was on Facebook today, and today there was the annual Slut Walk in Los Angeles. So, what the Slut Walk is, it's a global event that happens yearly in different cities or whatever, and it is to raise awareness for slut shaming and victim blaming. And victim blaming is really dedicated to the women who have been raped or sexually assaulted, um, victims of these crimes who have been blamed for what happened to them. They were told that they were a tease, or if they wouldn't have dressed a certain way, or if they wouldn't have been dancing a certain way, if they wouldn't have been promiscuous in the past, that these things wouldn't have happened to them. So that's victim blaming. And slut shaming is women who well, let me back up. So, by definition, a slut, according to Google, is a woman who has had many casual sexual partners. Okay, so by definition, this is what a slut is. So, any woman who is single and has had sex with someone, I guess that she wasn't in a relationship or married to, can be deemed a slut. According by definition, a woman who has had many casual sexual partners. I don't know how many is. Maybe it's two to some people, maybe it's three, maybe it's four. If a woman is single and she's in her 30s and she dates two guys in 1 year and she has sex with one guy in January and another one in November, somebody could call her a slut because that's many casual sexual partners, and maybe she's not in a relationship or whatever, so that's a slut. So slut shaming is calling this woman a slut, calling someone who has had sex with more than one person a slut, because that's what the definition is. Like, oh, well, she's had sex with more than one person, so obviously she's less than. She's a slut. She's a whore. She's a freak. Got a different date every day of the week. So that's what slut shaming is. So that's what the walk is about. It's about these women who are coming together, who are walking. These women are victims of slut shaming, or they're victims of rape. Women who were told that because they dressed a certain way, or just the idea that a woman can walk down the street and wear whatever she deems that she wants to wear and not be accused of being anything, or not be looked at differently if she does dress a certain way and something does happen to her. There are women who may dress provocatively, if you will, and the idea is that if something does happen, if she is sexually assaulted, that she deserved it. You know, well, if she wouldn't have been dressed that way, then maybe. And then you have the women who are in the slut walk who sometimes wear the outfits or the type of clothing that they were wearing when they were assaulted, who say, this is what I was wearing, that I deserve to be raped. No one deserves to be raped, first and foremost. No one deserves that. But the point is, you know, if whether I have on a sports bra and panties, or if I have on a full mink coat and jogging pants, you know, it doesn't matter what I have on. You don't have the right to sexually assault me because of what I have on. And then you have the women who, because of their past, because of their slut past, they're accused of, well, you know, if you wouldn't have been, you know, she's the kind of woman who sleeps around, so she had it coming, it was bound to happen. So, what I want to tell you is a story. I'm going to try to make this quick because I'm already like 4.5 minutes in. I'm going to try to make this quick. It was 2009, okay? I had an apartment, I had a townhouse, whatever. I'd been, maybe 2009, 2010, so in 2009. So I'd been at a friend's house, and we'd been out hanging out and kicking it. And as I was driving home, a guy that I knew gave me a call, and said, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm driving home. And he's like, oh, okay, well, you mind if I stop through? Sure. Now, this guy, I had known for a while. We had a sexual relationship in the past. I'm not ashamed of that because I'm a grown up. Um, and he came by. So he came by, and we're watching TV or whatever, and he was under the influence of weed or whatever. And I will admit that I was as well. Um, During this time that he had come by, I was celibate. I had made the decision to be celibate. I was celibate for about 2 years, and that's what I tell everyone. I was celibate for 2 years. However, that night, that streak, I think I probably maybe was like maybe 11 months in, it changed that night. He made advances towards me. I rejected them. He knew at that point my stance on sex. He didn't care. And he overpowered me. And we had sex, unconsensual. I tried to push him off. I said no. I cried during and afterwards, and none of that mattered. So then he left afterwards, and I remember just laying on my floor in the living room. I was on the floor in the living room, and just crying. And I remember like the next day, I had a guy friend that I was talking to. I called him up, and we were just or he called me or whatever, and we were having a conversation. And I kind of told him what happened. And he was like, oh, that's so messed up, blah, blah, blah. And I remember like some days later talking to him again, and he kind of made a joke about it. And I hung up on him, and I didn't talk to him again for quite some time. Even now, I still don't really fuck with him. But I didn't tell anyone about it. It was a few people, maybe one or two people I kind of told what happened, but I didn't really tell anyone because I was afraid of what would happen. I knew that, again, I knew this guy, he knew my address, he'd been to my house before, um, you know, and we were friends or whatever the hell, if you will, and I didn't tell anybody because I was afraid of if anyone would believe me. If anyone really believed that, oh, he overpowered me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a big girl, you know what I'm saying? I can fight or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or people would say, well, if you weren't high, then maybe this wouldn't have happened to you or whatever. So I didn't say anything to anybody. And that's something that I live with every day. So just even since then, since that day, just it took a long time for me to be willing to be alone with the guy again, at all. I remember I started going to therapy some years ago, a couple of years ago, for some other issues, and that was kind of something that came up. And I remember the guy that I was dating at the time, he had like a whole attitude about therapy and whatnot. And he said to me, like, you go to therapy just to say that you go to therapy. And I'm like, no, I go to therapy because I have these issues with depression, and I have these issues with this, and then I was raped, and I talk about that. And then he goes, you were raped? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm telling him the story. The first thing out of his mouth, I swear to God, the first thing out of his mouth was, you didn't think to tell me that? I mean, we in this relationship, you know what I'm saying? We having sex. You put me at risk. I mean, that nigga could have gave you anything. Seriously, this is what he said. I'm not making this up. Right hand of God. This is what he said. And I don't date that guy anymore. But when it comes to rape, according to statistics, every 100 seconds, another American is sexually assaulted. Each year, there are about 293,000 victims of sexual assault. 68% of sexual assaults are not reported to police. 98% of rapists will never spend a day in jail or prison. Approximately 4 out of 5 of assaults are committed by someone known to the victim, and 47% of rapists are a friend or acquaintance. These statistics are real, they're not made up. And as someone who has been through that, who has been through a situation where I said no and it didn't matter to the person, I can tell you that victim blaming and slut shaming is real. So before you are quick to call a woman a slut or blame someone for not saying something, like when I think of the women who have accused Bill Cosby of rape and the reaction from the world about it. Why didn't you say something? Because people don't believe you. It doesn't matter. Well, you shouldn't have been in the room with him, or if he drugged you. I saw a meme the other day that said, if Bill Cosby drugged all these women, how do they remember what happened? I promise you, you don't forget. It doesn't matter what you're under the influence of. So, I mean, this story isn't for you to feel sorry for me or take pity and know I'm not stronger than any other woman that's out there who's been in this situation. That's not the first time that I've been violated by a man and no one believed me when I said something. Trust me, it's not the first. I pray that it's the last. So I guess, like I said, my story is just that women who deal with this slut shaming, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't look like Amber Rose. I don't walk around with my boobs hanging out, or, you know, I don't have a big ass and, you know, and all of that. But it doesn't matter if I did or not. Regardless of what I have on, regardless of where I am, regardless of whether I'm drunk or high or asleep or whatever the hell, no one has the right to violate you. Period. No one has the right to sexually assault you. No means no. Period. So, I mean, if my story does nothing, it just tells women out there that you're not the only one. And I don't know. I just, after today being on the internet, I just felt compelled to tell this story. So, that's it. Bye.